So when I came to Nigeria, exactly 2 years to the date, that takes me to 2016, my doctor called. And prior to that, I remember I felt a lump on my right breast, but I ignored it because it was silent. It didn't do anything. It didn't hurt me. There wasn't any pus. It was just there. And then my doctor called me and said, "Oh, I'm reminding you of a mammogram." And I said, "Oh my God, when am I going to do a mammogram?" And I remember meeting a friend in Turkish hospital. So I went to visit her and I said, "Oh my God, this looks like the perfect hospital to have not only a mammogram, but I'm just going to do a whole self-examination. I'm just going to let them check me out and whatever happens, happens." So, and I remember walking in, never imagined that that would be the beginning of a life change for me. And so basically what happened was they did a biopsy, and interestingly, the first report said that it was negative. But I had a very experienced doctor, which matters, and he said, "Are you feeling pain underneath your arms?" And I said, "Yeah," but I thought I was menopausal. And so it didn't have anything to do with cancer. He said, "No, I am personally going to do this biopsy." So I had to go into the theater again. They did a biopsy, and you know what? When the report came back, it was cancerous. But back then, I always ignored the word of cancer. And so when he told me that I had cancer, I was in shock. He threw so much information and I couldn't even listen. All I kept on thinking is, "Oh my God, I have cancer. What does that mean?" And 48 hours of having that diagnosis, I said to my doctor, "We have got to do whatever we need to do to get rid of it." And so I came back into the hospital and I ended up staying overnight from removing the lump. But my doctor said something that was really interesting, because for a lot of us that have cancer, and once the lump is taken out, we think it's over. No, that's the beginning of the journey. So my doctor said to me, "You're going to have to have chemotherapy. You may actually have to do radiation." So I said, "Piece of cake, no problems." I had no idea the ecosystem of being a cancer patient. So what does that mean? It meant that at that time in 2016, they didn't have, in order for me to do it in Nigeria, I would have to wait a long time. And we were scared that I would have cells or tumors that would be spreading rapidly, because we just didn't know what stage of cancer I had developed. So my doctor told me that since I'm a Canadian citizen, it is advisable to get back to Canada and start effective immediately, do a chemotherapy treatment. When I went there, from the time I was taken in to do an MRI, from the time I could get home, I got a phone call on my cell phone. "Madam CHioma, you have to return back to the hospital. We need to see you immediately." So my heart started beating because it's like, oh my God, what did they see? When I saw my oncologist, Phil Bernard, he said to me, "I don't know how to break this to you, but you are a stage 4 cancer. That's what we're staging you." And I said, "What does that mean?" "It means that the cancer, which started at your breast, has now gone to your chest wall, it has gone to your liver, and it has gone into your lungs. It has basically metastasized, and it's all over your body. So we need to start treatment right away." And I remember looking at him, and I could see his words moving, but I couldn't even understand what he was talking about. So I went to my own general practitioner doctor, and she sat me down, and she said, "CHioma, this is not a big deal. Cancer is it's an aging disease, and we can deal with it. Just do exactly what your doctor tells you to do. And that's exactly what I did. I decided that I was going to take this on as a project. I was going to survive. I would not allow this foreign element that came into my body destroy me. So I said, I am going to fight this with two most powerful agents, which is prayer and science. So I came back to my doctor and I said, I'm ready. So he said, you're probably going to have to do 4 cycles of chemotherapy. Ironically, I ended up doing 9 cycles of chemotherapy. I lost my hair. I went bald. I didn't get sick, which was interesting. And I remember thinking that for every chemo that was pumped into my body was destroying those tumors. And when I came home at night, in order for me to feel spiritually connected to my Creator, for the very first time in my life, I grabbed the Bible and I started to read. All I kept on thinking about is, I am going to survive. And I remember the first time the doctor said, okay, we're going to do an MRI just to see whether this diagnosis is going to work. And I remember when the doctor walked into the office and he said, I'm happy. And I said, what are you happy about? He said, your tumors have shrunk from 11 to 5. And they went from 5 to 3. And they went from 3 to they disappeared. It's unheard of. Someone that has a stage 4 cancer diagnosis hardly survives.